Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the Four Horsemen Cosmic Legion's Noveunn Leen. And I've heard a lot of good things about the Cosmic Legion line, and I'm a huge fan of the Four Horsemen ever since way back in the Mattel days. Huge shout out to the Four Horsemen for reaching out to me and asking me if I'd be interested in reviewing this thing. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, Cosmic Legion, Noveunn Leen. Some sort of alien in a spacesuit, and he looks amazing. I see an alternate head and some other accessories I can't quite tell from this point. One side of the package, we have a little description of him. Other side, Book 2, Grave Knight. On the back, here's a checklist of a bunch of other figures, and to tell you the truth, they look freaking great. At the bottom, there is a barcode, in case that helps anybody. So no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with 4 alternate hands, totaling 6 interchangeable hands, 2 heads, a little rocket for his wrist, a machine gun, 2 pistols, and some large shoulder pads. Before I deal with all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is Noveunn Leen. He's an alien, and he appears to be a warrior. He kind of reminds me of a predator. So let's take a look at him. Starting with his head here. He has kind of a reptilian look, and he kind of has a crown on his head. They're not mandibles, but it looks like he has some horns coming out of his chin. And to a point, it resembles a predator, but he's a completely different species. He's in a spacesuit. It looks like single-jointed elbows and knees. There's a little bit of texturing on the suit. As a whole, it looks good. Basically a space-faring warrior alien, and a cool one at that. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. The paint, the sculpt, it's all there. Look at all the detail. We have green on the top, a little bit of dark mixed in with green, and then yellow below that, and then silver below that. His eyes look good. Yellow pupils. Looks like there's some technology mixed in with his head there. And then here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories. Let's start off with his hands. He has a total of 6 hands, 3 right hands, and 3 left hands. Here he is, with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. Here's his second pair of hands. This is a pair of gripping hands, or grabbing hands. Then, his third pair of hands. This is a pair of gripping hands with trigger fingers for his guns. Now let's look at his heads. He has 2 of them, one with a normal expression and the mouth closed, and one looking a little bit angrier, the mouth open. Here he is with his first head. This one has the more normal expression, as normal as a weird, sort of reptilian alien can be. And here's his second head. This one has an alternate expression, mouth open, looks like he's screaming. His fangs and mouth kind of remind me of a snake or a serpent. Next, we have these large shoulder pads. The figure has a bunch of different interchangeable options, and that's one of the things I read about Cosmic Legions. Interchangeable options, interchangeable parts between the different figures, and it delivered. So you can have the figure like this, with his head on, no shoulder pads, and he has sort of this spacesuit piece around his neck. And if you wanted to, you could take the big spacesuit neck part off, and have his head just on there, and he has a little sort of scarf piece around the neck. You can also remove the scarf piece and simply have his head on top, or you can have him with the large shoulder pads attached. Next, we have this rocket piece for his wrist. It's a small little yellow rocket. It's got a peg to attach onto his wrist. Here's that rocket attached to his wrist. It's attached with a peg. You can put it onto his wrist, you can put it onto his side, his other side, back of his belt, etc. Now we have his guns. They look to be automatic weapons, not laser guns. He has this large rifle type thing. It's got a scope on it. The sculpt is excellent. You can see the magazine below. And then we have these 2 sort of sidearms or pistols. Also, sculpt's very nice. Kind of on the large side of things. Here he is, holding his larger automatic weapon. And here he is, holding those 2 pistols or sidearms. All three of these guns have little holes in them. They look like they should be attached to his belt or something, as long as you got a peg. But there's nothing on the figure that has a peg that would attach them. He has plenty of holes that you could attach a pegged item into. So maybe if you had a different figure that had some pegs on his body, you could attach them as sort of sidearms and stow them away. But not with this guy. And now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 7.3 inches tall, which can translate to 18.5 centimeters. And for his articulation, starting with his head, of course, you can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down a very good amount. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint. Articulation is very tight. He actually came with instructions that you should probably heat him up to loosen up the articulation. Ball joint, up, down, around. He's got a single jointed elbow, goes in a tiny bit more than 90 degrees with rotation. His wrist can rotate, and it is hinged. Torso seems to be one solid piece. He's got a ball joint in the waist. Rotate around, forward and back. If you push him all the way forward, you do kind of see that gap in there. Not a big deal. Legs. He's got these arm pieces. They're very soft. Totally move out of the way. Completely does the splits. Not a ball joint. Pretty unique style hip joints. Good amount of rotation in the hip. The legs go forward. About that far. Back not much. Same with the knee with rotation. And then his ankle. Forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and he has a boot cut there as well. Here's a look at Noveunn Leen in his spaceship. A closer look at him operating one of the control panels on his ship. And then here he is, rifle in hand, ready to go down on the ground for combat. Now let's check him out. Next to some other action figures. And like I said before, this is my first figure from Horsemen Studios, my first figure in the Cosmic Legions line, so I don't have any of those guys to compare them to, although there are a bunch of them that look really cool. And this figure's pretty nice, so I may try to hunt down another couple of the aliens to join this guy. But for now, we'll check him out with a couple of Predator figures, and then a bunch of action figures from different various companies. Here's this Cosmic Legion figure, next to a NECA Predator from the first film and the second film. Jungle Hunter on the left, and the City Hunter on the right. And here he is, next to NECA's most recent Predator figure. This is Feral from Prey. Then, next to a couple more NECA Predators with their masks off. You can see some similarities between these guys. You can see what I mean. There are some similarities. They have a similar type of crown on the top of their head. Reptilian look to them. And even though the Cosmic Legion figure doesn't have mandibles, he has two sort of tusks, and it kind of resembles a mandibles or two, I don't know, sort of spikes coming out of the bottom of his mouth. Definitely get a Predator vibe, although I would not say it's a Predator ripoff by any means. And now, next to a couple of NECA xenomorphs from Aliens. And finally, next to a couple of engineers from Prometheus. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a Cosmic Legions figure, they're the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. Here he is, next to some Diamond Select toys, and some McFarlane figures. Here he is, next to some DC Direct and NECA figures. And here he is, next to a container of plant food. Then, next to both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, with some SH Figure Arts and some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a very nice action figure. I like sci-fi, I like different various aliens, I like Predator, I like Star Trek, all that sort of stuff. So this guy is right up my alley. I think the sculpt and paint job are fantastic on this guy. The detail on the head, the different sort of reptilian and lizard parts, it looks great. The texture on the suit is also nice. His accessories, they're pretty good. Alternate hands, guns, definitely not feeling the shoulder pads. But from what I read, you can actually swap out some of the parts with different Cosmic Legion figures. His articulation could be a little bit better. It's quite stiff, which is not a problem, but he has single jointed elbows and knees, and could just use a little bit more range of motion. He doesn't need to be the super articulated figure. He's a big, bulky alien in a spacesuit. but just a little bit more would have been nice. If I were to rate this figure, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. It's a very nice figure. It has a pretty good rating in my book. And as the first figure in the Cosmic Legion line that I've ever handled, I'm pretty impressed. The Four Horsemen have a great reputation. I've always been a fan of theirs, especially since way back in their Mattel DC days, but they've done a lot of stuff since then, and they have their own action figure company at this point, and it's well deserved. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.